A very good morning to one and all present here. I am Dr. Mubin Sultana, Assistant Professor from the PG and Research Department of Zoology, Justice Bashir Ahmed Syed College for Women, formerly known as SIT, from Chennai, Tamil Nadu. First and foremost, I would like to thank Dr. Pitambar for giving me the opportunity to share a little bit of knowledge what I have in zoology. I have been teaching zoology for the past 16 years. So let's see what it is. And basically, as the topic goes, basics and scope of animal sciences. And when we talk about animal sciences, as it is a induction program for the life science students, and here we are going to have a group of students from botany, from zoology. So both, it's a combination. When we say life science, it's from both the streams. So as we go ahead, like botany and zoology, my field of specialization is zoology, and so we are going to stick on to basics of zoology and its scope, like what are the higher studies, what are the job opportunities, all those things. But basically, going into that, as I told you, I have been into teaching for so many years. We generally have the mindset students avoid zoology sometimes, thinking that we have lot of dissection, cutting of animals, so they want to avoid the subject. But with virtual dissections coming up, the number of dissections have been drastically reduced actually. So when we talk about zoology, first, the topic itself is basics. So when we say basics of zoology, you start from, as a undergrad course, in few colleges you have a 2 year course, 3 year course, or a 4 year course as honors or something. But a complete setup of undergrad courses, you do a core zoology, the main content of the main zoology, mostly in the first year, and after which you go in for specialization, all special subjects. I'll deal all those things in detail as the lecture proceeds. So when we talk about life science, under life science you have two fields, that is botany and animals. Zoology, botany deals with plant studies and zoology deals with the study of animals. When we say zoology, what is zoology? It is the scientific study of animals, not just study of animals. It's the scientific study of animals. That is what is zoology. Now, when we talk about zoology, we have classification of zoology, right? We classify the animal kingdom. Now this classification itself is based on different factors. For example, first thing what I'm going to deal here is classification based on level of organization, the symmetry, the coelom. But I'm not going to go much into detail of this, because this is what you have been studying all through your boards, like 10th and plus 2, and even the first year of your degree course you will study this, like what is a kingdom, the level of organization. If it is cellular level, then tissue level organization. In cellular level organization you have the poriference. In tissue level you have the radial symmetry, bilateral symmetry. Under radial symmetry you have the coelentrates and the ctenophores, and under bilateral symmetry you have the acoelomates and the pseudocoelomates, which include the platyhelminths and the ashkelminths. And the true coelomates, you have the annelids, arthropods, mollusks, echinoderms, hemichordates, and the chordates. Chordates itself is a very big phylum. Is it right? So this is how you classify the animal kingdom. There is another classification of animal kingdom which goes like levels and divisions. You have the kingdom Animalia, subkingdom Protozoa and Eumetazoa, then infrakingdom as Mesozoa, Parazoa and Enterozoa. Then you have grades. Under Enterozoa you have the Radiata and Bilateria. Under bilatery, you have the division Protosomia and Deuterosomia. Under the division Protosomia, you have Acoelomata, Pseudocoelomata, Schizocoelomata, and under Deuterostomia, you have the Enterocoelomata. So this is how the basic level of classification takes place in different levels and divisions. Broader classification, when we go as animal kingdom, there is, like, when we talk about animal kingdom you also include the microorganisms, protist and all those things. But generally, as a zoologist, you study the three main parts of this animal kingdom, which is the invertebrates and the vertebrates. And between the invertebrates and the vertebrates, there is a connecting link called as the prochordates. What is the basic difference between an invertebrate and a vertebrate? Invertebrate are the animals without the notochord, whereas the vertebrates are the animals with the notochord, right? So this prochordate serves as a connecting link, because under this prochordates you have three groups in which you see the presence of notochord at different levels. We will go in details. When we talk about invertebrate classification, all of us know uh, protozoans, poriferans, coelentrates. Under helminths you have platyhelminths, aschelminths. Then you have the annelids. Then you have the arthropods, mollusca, and echinodermata. Basically you have 8 divisions, right? So when we talk about this, see, you can very clearly see the evolution of life through these subjects, through these classes, how they are arranged in a hierarchy. Protozoans are basically microscopic organisms which are found in water and stagnant waters. You have the amoeba, and it is a single cellular organism. Euglena, all these things come under the protozoans. Now you can imagine life, basically the theory of evolution, and there are a lot of theories. They say life started from water, life evolved from water. So what happens is, in next level, poriferans, these single cells join together to form a sponge like structure. From single cell to the next level of sponge like structure, the poriferans, they do not have a proper cellular organization. They do not have any systems, no digestive system, no circulatory system, not a proper well developed physiology, anything they have. It's just that they have the canal system through which the water enters in and goes out. And when the water enters in through the water currents, the food material is carried over in and it is being collected. That is how the poriferans live. Examples are sponges, sorry. Then third is coelentrates. In coelentrates, we come across the cellular level gradation. When you talk about cellular level gradation, we see the difference of ectoderm, mesoderm, and the endoderm. This is where the cellular level gradation starts. Then we come to the next level of organization, which is the helminths. Under helminths, you have two types, flatworms and roundworms. That is the platyhelminths and the aschelminths. When we talk about platyhelminths, they are flatworms. Example, Taenia, right? And when we talk about aschelminths, you talk about what is called as ascaris. These are all examples for these classes. Okay, so when we talk about platyhelminths, you see next level of gradation. What happens is the parasitic modifications what they have. They have cellular level organization. Each gravid proglottid has the capacity to develop into a new one, and that gravid proglottid has a complete reproductive system, digestive system, everything, but at a lower level, at a lesser grade level, but all the systems are developing here. Then we come across what is called as annelids. In annelids, we see a special feature which is called as metamerism. It is called as metamerism. So, sorry girls, this is called as metamerism, one of the special features of annelids. Example for annelids are earthworms, and these earthworms are found in the soil, and they are mostly responsible for the health of the soil. Basically, the more number of earthworms, the healthier the soil, they say, because they have their cast. They you have this vermitechnology process in which these earthworms are used to convert the organic waste into manure so that the plants grow faster. But annelids, earthworms are one example. There are multiple number of annelids, like you have nereis, you have heteronereis, you have leech, so many other things. Then we go to next level of gradation, which is the arthropods. Under arthropods, you come to next level where they have jointed legs. Examples are cockroach. They have jointed legs. All of you would have seen a cockroach. If they are first years, might be during this pandemic, you might not have gone to your practicals or your regular practical classes, but in future when you go to your college or the second years if they are here, they would have hold the cockroach, they know how the jointed legs look like. Then third, finally we come to what is called as a mollusk. In mollusk you find what is called as a muscular foot, from jointed legs to a muscular foot. Then comes finally examples, snail which is Pila globosa, and you also have lamellibranchs like what do you call this, bivalves. All these things come under the mollusk. Then finally we have the last phylum, which is the echinodermata. This is a completely a different type of organism, like a starfish. Here the main system is the water vascular system. You have the oral and the aboral surface. So when you see the first level to the last level, there is a evolutionary process happening, from single cell to multi-cell, from multi-cell to cellular gradation, from cellular gradation to what is called as a proper system, from proper systems to special features like metamerism. Then we start having jointed legs, then we have what is called as muscular leg. So there is an evolutionary process based on which these classes have been placed one behind the other. So next part, that is what I said, was the protochordates, which is the connecting link between the invertebrates and the chordates. We cannot say as a connecting link. We can say that the invertebrates and the chordates, and how this prochordates prove the fact that the chordates would have evolved from the invertebrates. So what happened here is, under prochordates we have three: cephalochordates, hemichordates and urochordates. Now what are cephalochordates? Example is Amphioxus. Amphioxus. Example for cephalochordates is Amphioxus. Now all of you have seen Amphioxus in your lab and under the microscope or in the bottles, or if you have to see the branchial aperture and all those things, you can view it under the dissection microscope also. So this Amphioxus is an example of cephalochordate. What does the word cephalo mean? It means head. So here you can see the notochord up to the head region, restricted up to the head region. Then you come across a word called hemichordate. What is hemichordate? Example for hemichordate is only Belanoglossus. Here what you can see is, you can see the extension of notochord up to half the body. Hemi, half. Then you have urochordates. Example is Ascidia. Here tail, euro means tail. So here you can see the notochordal presence up to the tail region. So how the notochord would have started developing. So this prochordate serves as a link, that how the notochord developed and how the vertebrates would have evolved. Now we come to the final part, which are the vertebrates. Under vertebrates you have the pisces, amphibians, reptiles, aves and the mammals. Under pisces you have all kinds of fishes. You study all kinds of fishes, cartilaginous, bony, everything. All fishes come under this. Then you have the amphibians. Amphibians, now from water. Till now we saw life in water, right? So now the organisms are trying to survive on land. As they are trying to survive on land, they cannot completely survive on land forever. So they take a part of their life in water. For example, for breeding purposes, frogs go back to the water. They lay their eggs in water, right? So the amphibians are the ones which are able to survive both on land and water. Then in third, reptiles, they have completely moved on to the land. So they are able to survive without water. They do not need water to survive. They can live on land completely. Then comes aves. It's a completely new modification where they are able to fly. Their body itself is changed in such a way, the lung structure, the whole body cavity is converted, and the whole lung is converted in such a way that it can hold lot of air so that it can breathe when it flies very high. The beak structures, the contour, the figure, so that the feathers of the birds, it's like a completely different evolutionary process how the aves have developed to form a different lifestyle, a streamlined body where they can fly so high. Then finally comes the mammals in this evolution of animal kingdom, the most advanced species, where the whole system, the digestive system, the circulatory system, the respiratory system, all the system, endocrine system, immune system, all the systems are developed to form what is called as mammals. This is only what is called as the basic core zoology, and this you study only in the first year. Most of the colleges with 2 semesters, invertebrate in the first term, second semester you have the chordata, and you wind up. Then you go for what is called as all special subjects. So it is not that you study only animal studies throughout, because to study these animals you need the support of the other special subjects. That's also equally responsible. See, now if you have to see the lineage, if you have to study the genetics, if you have to know the molecular biology, you need the support of other subjects. So when we talk about zoology as a degree or as an undergrad course, there is not only core zoology, we study so many special subjects with it. To start with, you have cell biology. Basically, cell biology, what you have done from your undergrad schools itself, like the structure of the cell, what is a plant cell, what is an animal cell, then different cell organelles, then you have what is called as this a little higher level, we go to molecular biology, the RNA, the DNA, the transcription, the translation processes, all those things, the prokaryotic transcription, translation, eukaryotic, these subjects you go in detail. Then you study genetics. This actually helps you understand the concept of how genes are responsible for transferring the information from one generation to the other generation. All of you would have studied in botany, right? The Mendelian's law, then how the genes are getting inherited. It all, goes through this process of genetics, and studying genetics is a very, very, very vital role. See, when we study cell biology, when we study genetics, this is not only theoretical part as a zoologist, you do even practicals. And in the cell biology practicals, you do what is called as basic practicals, like blood count. You take your own blood and see the count RBC, you count the number of WBC, you see the different kinds of WBC. It's a lovely and a very fantastic practical. You can see the neutrophils, eosinophils, basophils, you see different nuclear shapes you can see there. Then in genetics you do, and you even count the number of RBC and WBCs using the Newbar chamber. You have a special chamber called Newbar chamber, where you put a drop of blood and they have boxes in it, and you view under the microscope and you can count the number of RBCs and make a calculation, and you can even count the number of WBCs. So these are the basic practicals what we do in cell biology. We even do what is called as and the genetics. Cell biology, you do one more practicals called as you can see the cell division, mitosis, meiosis. Where do you take mitosis? Mitosis you can study under the root tips. We have this onion root tips. You take an onion root tip, you preserve it, you squash it, and see different stages of mitosis. You can see the prokaryotic stage, you can see the prophase stage, metaphase stage, anaphase stage, telophase stage, all these things. And all these practicals are done by these BSc zoology students. Genetic studies, for example, you can take out the grasshopper testis, and that testis you can squash it at the third instar stage if you collect the correct instar. Different instars you have in grasshopper lifestyle. So you have to take the third instar, and if you collect the testes from the third instar stage grasshoppers, you can see meiosis stages: leptotene, zygotene, pachytene, diplotene, metaphase 1, anaphase 1. All these structures, all these stages can be seen, and all these practicals are done by the zoology students. In certain colleges where the labs are sophisticated, they even do the molecular biology practicals. Like they have the isolation of DNA, isolation of RNA, they even go for gel electrophoresis. All these practicals are done. Then you also study what is called as animal physiology, like oxygen consumption by a fish. This practicals is done in the lab. So when we talk about zoology and practicals, it is not only dissection. No, we take small tilapia fishes, put it in a beaker, which is called as an animal chamber, cover it up, and see for half an hour how much oxygen does it consume. Because once after half an hour we take that water and do a dissolved oxygen practical. It's like a titration process. So this is done under these subjects called animal physiology. And you also study what is called as ecology. Now see, all of you would have known that how important ecology is, and that is the reason the government of India, the UGC, has brought in what is called as a subject called EVS, which is environmental science, which is made compulsory for all the students starting from what do you call first year, let it be art students or a commerce students or a science student. For everybody they have made mandatory that do one paper of EVS, because we have to be conscious about our environment. That is a major reason they have brought EVS as a mandatory subject for all undergraduate courses. But here in zoology, we do it as one main core theory paper itself. And how evolution takes place. Few universities still have the evolution paper, few have removed the evolution paper. But let us not get into any controversies. We study it as a subject and we see how human evolved. It's Let us keep all the other ideas behind and just look into evolution as a subject, and we see how the evolution has takes place. Because under evolution you also do a lot of population genetic studies and all those things, because ecology and evolution goes hand in hand, they go together. And you also study subjects like developmental biology, where we see the developmental studies like we start from development of studies like spermatogenesis, oogenesis, fertilization process, how the embryo is formed, how the fate maps are been. What is the fate map means? For example, in an embryo you have different, when a sperm and an egg unite, it forms a zygote, right? Zygote divides to two cell. 2 cell becomes 4 cell, 4 cell becomes 8 cell, 8 becomes 16, 16 becomes 32, 32 becomes 64, 64 becomes 128. So totally it becomes a ball-like structure called as morula, like a full bunch of grapes. Then slowly these cells arrange themselves to the borders and have cavity in between. It becomes a blastula. Now this blastula, the cells which have arranged to the corners, they differentiate into ectoderm, endoderm, mesoderm. It becomes a gastrula. After this ectoderm, endoderm, mesoderm, which part is in future going to get converted to which organ? That is called as fate maps. All these things you will be studying under developmental biology. And in developmental biology, you also study the development of chick embryo, development of eyes, lungs, and these things are dealt in detail. Then you also study a main paper called immunology. Especially with this pandemic and this COVID-19, you might have heard so much about what is your immune system. When we were students, immunology was not dealt as a separate paper. It was given as developmental biology and immunology. But as years have passed, this subject has gained importance, because as all your other systems work in your body, like your developmental system, your reproductive system, your respiratory system, your digestive system, same way there is what is called as immune system, which is made up of the primary, secondary lymphoid organs and the lymphatic vessels, which pass all over your body just like your nerves and blood vessels pass. And they have nodules in groins and underarms at point junctions. And these immune system, the study of immunology is very important to understand how your body reacts to any foreign antigen which enters in your body, and through what mechanism it kills the antigen by secreting antibodies or attacking it. There are different kinds of how your immune system reacts. You have cell mediated immunity, you have humoral immunity, you have different pathways, MHC, MHC2. You also study about transplantation immunology, that is when you transplant an organ from one person to other person, you put the other person on immunosuppressive drugs. Why? Because the other person's body should not consider this donor organ as a foreign body. So all these things you study in immunology, hypersensitivity, all these things. So this is one of the major subjects. Biotechnology, the basics of biotechnology are dealt in many of the colleges. Even today, it is, though it has been BSc Biotech, a separate course does come, but you do as a paper in core zoology also. Then we do biostatistics. What is biostatistics? All of you, usually students who are not very comfortable with maths, they are the ones who, excuse me, actually come into what is called as zoology or botany, because they are not very comfortable with maths. But to be very frank, biostatistics is a very interesting and a very lovable chapter. You do not have to worry about maths at all. It is such a easy chapter. You have very simple mean, median, mode, very basic things. Then you have chi-square, then you have regression, correlation, but very beautiful chapters. Because in science, now you are undergrad students, you're going for your PG or you're going for your higher classes. When you do those things, when you go for your research work, you need to substantiate your research work with calculations. So that is where biostatistics play a role. Then you might understand, why do we have to learn zoology? No. For example, if you're doing a genetic studies, a population studies, you have so many people, you have to do a simple calculation of calculating the mean or a median or a mode, and you have to correlate the results. You have to understand that concept, do the correlation, do the regression, do the pie chart. All those things we study under biostatistics. The next new subject is bioinformatics. See, till now what we have done is what is called as wet lab practicals, right? We usually do wet lab practicals. This bioinformatics is called as dry lab practicals. We have the protein structure, we have the genome structure, the nucleic acid structure. All these structures are being made as a database and is available in the websites. You have many databases like Uniport, so many. So what happens is you use proteomics, genomics, and you can do what is called as dry lab practicals. That is, you can, for example, you call it as computer aided drug designing. You either design the drug in the lab practically, or sometimes first you can also try it with the you have compounds available, the images are available, chemical structures are available. You can bind and see whether are reactive or not. If they are reactive, then try to do on the wet lab also. So this sort of dry lab practicals where you use a lot of programming and a lot of stuffs within the system, that is called as bioinformatics. We even study biochemistry. In few colleges, biochemistry is offered as an allied subject, and few they are even offering as a core subject also, because animal physiology and biochemistry goes hand in hand. You know why we study biochemistry is in zoology we also study what happens is if your sugar level goes up, it is called diabetes. Why? What is the biochemical concept behind it? Your kidney function test, why do you do that? What is the concept behind if urea increases, creatinine increases? What is the normal level? So all these things you study under biochemistry. Then you also have called as microbiology. Microbiology is a very normal, basic subject of zoology where you study the microorganisms. But as it has in depth more to be studied, it has been completely separated and brought up as a separate branch of BSc microbiology also. And in microbiology, you study all microorganisms, the parasites, how to sterilize the utensils, the glasswares what we use, cleaning of the lab, good lab practices. All these things come under the microbiology. And we also have skill-based subjects in zoology. A few skill-based subjects in zoology are, you have aquaculture, how to culture the fishes. You have aquarium management. It's one of the best booming businesses in the present day scenario. Having the small fishes, guppies, culturing them, selling them, aquarium management. Even now you have people, when you give a call, they come clean your aquariums, get the money and go. They do this aquarium management work. Then you have sericulture, culturing of the worms for the production of silk. Apiculture, one of the fastest growing industry. What is apiculture? Bees, honey bees. There are different types of honey based on the flowers from which the honeys are collected. There are multiple number of, and that is one of the booming business now. In Coimbatore and all, I have known entrepreneur who has started the business of this apiculture, and it's like within not even a decade, less than a decade, they have minted money like anything. And more than money, they have taken it up more as a social service, or what you call a community service, where the people of that area are being involved in, and they do it as a self business, and it's their livelihood actually. They have taken it up as a livelihood. And in China, these bees, they have they go to a center and get themselves stung by a bee, bee sting. They get better because they think it has a medical value. Yes, it does have a medical value. So it is of high, and it is not a much touched subject, but it is gaining importance now. Soil biology, because in agriculture, soil biology plays a major role. Health of soil system and everything. Animal behavior, that's also a very beautiful subject, but for that you need to have the core love for the subject of animals. How what you need to have a lot of patience to study this subject, animal behavior. You have vermitechnology, use of worms in the process of converting, I've already told you, converting the waste into manure. Wildlife management and museum keeping, one of the very good subjects, I would say, because we do not have many museum keepers. Now, till this, we come to the end of what is called as basics of zoology. Now, till now, what I did, your skill-based subjects or your special subjects or your core subjects, what we do, this is all the subjects which every or many colleges offer. There may be a few other new subjects also, but these are the basic subjects which are offered by all the colleges. And my own perception is, as far as if you have decided to go for an undergraduate course, please stick on to your basic sciences. Let it be botany, let it be zoology, let it be physics, let it be chemistry or mathematics. These are the 5 basic sciences which are the pillars of science. Always do your undergraduation on a broader field. See, when you do under a broader field, you study so many subjects. Then you get a clarity of what to do in PG, whether you have to choose this subject or that subject. If you narrow down your thought process at undergrad level itself, you are left with no other choice but to do the same subject in your PG. For example, a student who does a BSc Biochemistry or a BSc Microbiology is eligible to do only MSc Biochemistry or MSc Microbiology. They do not have the opportunity to take up the basic sciences of MSc Zoology or any other thing in future for their PG. I'll when you go for higher studies, I'll explain you the process of that. So with this, we come to the end of basics. Now we go to what is called as higher studies. A student who has done a BSc Zoology is eligible for n number of PG courses, starting with MSc Zoology, MSc Anatomy, MSc Biotechnology, MSc Biochemistry, MSc Microbiology, MSc Physiology, MSc Public Health, MSc Environmental Science, MSc Life Science, MSc Wildlife Science, MSc Endocrinology, MSc Bioinformatics. These are all the different types of, you have even MSc Toxicology. Sorry, I haven't mentioned because there are few universities which do offer MSc Toxicology. These are the n number of subjects which are offered for a student who has done BSc Zoology. The options are so many because you study so many varied subjects at the undergrad level. That's one of the basic, plus point of studying basic sciences at undergrad level. And the next option is, if you're looking for a job option, you either do B.Ed after your BSc or M.Ed after doing MSc. See, as far as teaching is concerned, if teaching is your criteria and you want to go in for teaching, as far as basic sciences are concerned, any school on anywhere in India, from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, all schools need science teachers. Like they need English teachers, they need science teachers. But the first criteria is you should have a B.Ed. You should have a B.Ed. So if you do a BSc Zoology and then do a B.Ed, you are eligible for any school teaching jobs. And if you do MSc Zoology and a B.Ed, you are eligible for PG assistant. That is, you can teach for higher classes. Your salary will be much better. And if you are planning to go into a teaching field, always go in the same subject for your PG subject. For example, if you do BSc Botany, do MSc Botany. BSc Zoology, MSc Zoology. If you are planning for teaching, let it be college teaching or school teaching. If you're planning for college teaching, you have to do BSc Zoology. You have to do MSc Zoology. That is the eligibility criteria. And you should have minimum 55% of marks in MSc Zoology. And once you have that 55% of mark, the present convention is either you have to pass the NET, which is the National Eligibility Test, or SLET, State Level Eligibility Test. Either of the one you have to pass, or you should have a PhD in that subject. These are the requirements for teaching job. Either a NET or a SLET or a PhD. But before that, the criteria is BSc, MSc in the same field. You cannot do BSc Zoology and MSc Endocrinology and think of a job in Zoology department. You can think of a job in hospitals or hospital related colleges as an endocrinologist, as a microbiologist if you do MSc Microbiology. But you cannot come to the mainstream of aided teaching stream. For that, you have to do your UG, PG in same subject. Please always remember that. And there is a requirement of good teachers all over India. It's a humble request to all my dear students who are listening to this video. Please do not take up teaching as a profession where you end up saying that I didn't get a job, so I took up teaching. It's a very noble profession. We are lack of good teachers. We want students who are passionate about teaching to take up teaching. Not because they didn't get any job, so they ended up teaching. No, my dear children, you are going to train the next generation. So you should be trained well to train the future. So please, if you're thinking about teaching, think about twice. Do it with passion, not just as a job. Then what are the job opportunities if we do zoology? There are different fields. You have forest department, you have marine department, you have the education sector, you have the veterinary product manufacturing industry, and you also have the research and development wing. These are the five major sectors. When I say education sector, everything comes in: school teaching, college teaching, all those things come under it. When I say marine industry, you have lot of marine farms coming up nowadays. You see, you as especially in this pandemic, everybody has started, this online business of supplying prawns and fishes to home. These are all the businesses what they have started now. Forest department, if there are boys and even if they are girls, if you are interested in forest keeping, the forest officers, go for these great jobs. You have no, you have to go through what is called as employment news. Have you heard about this employment news? It comes once in 2 weeks. You can actually register for this newspapers. Once in 2 weeks it is being delivered home. And that every 2 weeks there are so many opportunities for zoologists. There are so many departments where they need students with zoology background, especially veterinary products, manufacturing industry. There they need students with zoology. Top recruiting places other than schools and colleges. Where are the other top recruiting places you can go for as a zoologist? Is one is MOEF, Ministry of Environment and Forest. That is one of the major areas where a zoologist can work on. Then Forest Department of the state. Then you have CMFRI, Central Marine Fisheries Research Institute. Then Central Inland Fisheries Research Institute, CIFRI. Then you have Zoological Survey of India. You have Indian Institute of Science, Education and Research, ISER. There are different places. You have in Pune, you have in Tirupati. At different places you have this ISER. This is like IITs. And this IITs is for technology, ISER is for basic sciences. So there are so many variations and job opportunities. It is up to the students to grab it, utilize it to the utmost. Grab it and utilize it to the utmost. Never think any subject is lesser or higher than the other subject. It is the interest with which the student studies the subject and makes the best use of it. So with this, I come to, or this is the pay scale. This is just a pay scale. It is not the actual pay scale. With zoology as a core subject, basically a person can have an average salary of up to 4 lakh. Usually engineers also have this much of pay scale when they start their careers also. If you're an animal control officer, you can earn up to 4.2 lakh. If you're a biologist, up to 6 lakh. If you're a scientist, up to 6 lakh. It can be more. This is the starting salary. If you're a marine biologist, if you're an entomologist. So if you're, spectacle about what sort of pay you might get, this is just an average pay scale. If you're a professor, if you plan to go for the teaching job, school teaching job, almost it's like 5 to 6 lakhs per annum. If you're planning for a college job, it is more than 8 to 10 lakhs per annum. So it is up to you to decide what you want to do. You have to experiment, but not at the UG PG level. Try to stick on to basic science course at the UG and PG level. Deviate in your research. Try to go in for in-depth in your research, but study the basics. For example, we have MSc genetics labs, right? They do genetic studies, but they are not able to dissect and take out the what do you call, the testes of grasshopper. That they come to the zoology department, please help us and take it out and give. So as a zoologist, you are very stronger in your skills because you do so many practicals which not the special subject students do. So always put your collar up and feel proud that you're a student of a basic science. Basic science is the mother of all sciences. All the best to all of you. I hope I have answered to all your doubts what you had as a BSc zoology, what would you study and what are the job opportunities, to a level I have explained. But there are still more websites available where you can go and search and learn about the different subjects available for your PG. And please have a clear mind. Go for counseling with your counselors if you have in your colleges after UG what you want to do. Be clear with it. Based on that, take your path. Because once you have entered your graduation, it means you have already finalized what you're going to do. But after that, what? Because mostly what I say is, as I'm in teaching profession, we see students, they do basic zoology, but down the line they lose their hope and they go for special subjects. It's, that catchy words, MSc microbiology, MSc informatics, bioinformatics. And after 2 years they come back, ma'am, will I get a job as a school teacher? Will I get a job as a college teacher? That's difficult. So you need to, because you need to have a same subject degree in your PG. So you have to decide what you want to do. Based on that, choose your PG course. Do not get carried away with what your friends and others say. You are an adult. Once you become 18, you are quite mature enough to decide what you want to do. So based on that, accordingly choose wisely what subject you want to do and carve a path for yourself. Thank you and all the best. And I once again thank Pitambar sir and Botany for you, for giving this opportunity to share my knowledge. Thank you.